Trade rumors are intensifying for the Rangers as a position of need has been identified and a new trade target has been revealed. We're going to break down who this is, what he will do for this team, and the implications of trading away one of the Rangers' highest paid players. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 74% of you who watch these videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the New York Rangers, be sure to go down below, hit that free subscribe button. And again, you get to stay up to date with everything New York Rangers. This is the place to be for your daily Rangers news, rumors, reports, all that fun stuff. But let's jump right into it. This one is Mika Zibanejad. I mean, the two guys who could get traded this offseason are Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider. We covered Chris Kreider in a video this morning, and let me know in the comments what you think about that trade as well. But this one is Mika Zibanejad, and a writer, we'll get into the implications, of course, on the salary cap and all that, but a writer has suggested that the New York Rangers deal their $68 million forward in a blockbuster trade to the Boston Bruins. And this is from Joshua Deeds. And who is that? It's Mika Zibanejad. Mika Zibanejad to Boston. And I think it's interesting for Boston as they continue through a weird kind of rebuilding stage where maybe Mika Zibanejad could play with obviously David Pastrnak. And he makes $8.5 million until 2030. Like, I have a hard time believing that the Boston Bruins are going to take on all of that salary. But if you can get a large portion of that off the books, if you're the Rangers, you're playing with house money at this point. You can go out and make some significant moves to try and make this team better. Now, we can break it all down, right? Like, Zibanejad out the door. Who's coming back the other way? Well, this trade suggests that it would be Casey Mittelstadt. Now, this is an interesting thing because if you do trade away Mika Zibanejad, you don't really have a 3C right now. And I was kind of talking about that with Barrett Hayden coming back the other way for Chris Kreider as well. You probably need a 3C at this point. They re-signed Juuso Parssinen. I don't know if he's the answer at 3C at the NHL level right now. I mean, I do believe in him to be a pretty, sturdy, solid NHLer, and I do think that we have to see that this season or it's not going to look very good. That contract's not going to look good. But Casey Mittelstadt could be a really interesting option up the middle there on the third line. And he was really good for the Colorado Avalanche. Of course, they didn't think he was good enough. They wanted to retool their entire team. They traded him for Charlie Coyle at this past season's trade deadline. But again, if you look at Zibanejad, man, he is moving into next year is only going to be the halfway point for this contract at $8.5 million. He's already 32. If you look at his production from last season, in 82 games, which he played all 82 games, he only had 62 points, a very big dip from the season before and what we know from Mika Zibanejad. Now, I will say majority of that was, early season. And he did acknowledge that, and he said he was in a really dark place and he'd never been that low in his career before. And obviously he was playing quite a bit. He was averaging 20 minutes at one point, but he was a minus 22 last season as well. And I do want to say that he did pick it up in the second half. The second half of the season, I believe from January 1st, he was a point-a-game player. He was almost a point-a-game player, I should say. So at 32 years old, that's not that bad for that contract as the salary cap continues to raise, of course, year after year. It's going to be almost $10 million every summer after this summer. But still not good enough. Now, if you look at Casey Mittelstadt coming back the other way, didn't have the greatest season either, but he was playing lower in the lineup. Obviously moved over to the Bruins, didn't do much with the Bruins either. He played 81 games this season. He had 40 points, playing a little bit less time. But the thing with Casey Mittelstadt and why this trade could make some sense for the New York Rangers is because, man, oh man, he makes significantly less and his contract is shorter term. He's a UFA in 2027 rather than 2030. So, for 20 points less, you can save almost $3 million and then use, the $3 million to go out and get a defenseman, try and make the team better. So, I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. Would you rather keep Mika Zibanejad over Casey Mittelstadt? I'm not totally in love with this trade. Mittelstadt is 26. I think I like the Barrett Hayden trade a lot more, I have to be honest, because you're not saving, much more cap in that way. You are, actually, first of all. And at the same time, I think Barrett Hayden could be a better fit for this team specifically. He's also a bigger player. So, physically bigger player. So keep that in mind as well. Now, again, a second round pick would be involved in this trade as well. This is just a hypothetical, rumors at this point, but we got to start talking about this stuff because, they have to free up some salary cap space. They have only about, and we can kind of get into it now, heading into next season, just over $8 million. Now, keep in mind, that is a lot of money. That would, give you a lot of flexibility in season, but we have to keep in mind, assuming they are going to re-sign K'Andre Miller, which I think is going to happen. I don't think they're going to trade him. It really depends on what happens closer to July 1st, because Chris Drury, does he want to trade for a defenseman? Is he going to sign a defenseman free agency? There's a lot out there, but they're going to cost a lot of money. So they have about $8 million in free cap right now. But like I said, you got to sign K'Andre Miller. You don't have to, but I think they're going to. You have to sign Matt Rempe. There's a couple other guys that need contracts as well. So you have to keep that in mind. $8 million there could dwindle down to maybe 4, 3, maybe even 2. It depends what K'Andre Miller is going to sign for. And that is a scary thought. That is for sure. But, you have to free up some salary cap space this summer. I do believe that in either Zibanejad or Chris Kreider. And I also think that Zibanejad has a higher upside at this point than Chris Kreider. I do believe that. Just based on the second half of the season. And I think Chris Kreider, there was a report yesterday that, Larry Brooks said that there's a mutual agreement that they want to part ways as well. So there is that. And it sounds like Zibanejad doesn't want to leave New York under any circumstances, and he has a no movement clause. So that is going to be interesting to monitor. Now, in terms of Casey Middlestat, right? He would add needed depth down the center, and obviously Mika Zibanejad could benefit from a change of scenery. That is a little bit true, but I don't think he wants to leave New York. And it could also give the Rangers a chance at bringing somebody in at 3C with only 2 years left on a $17 million contract. Middlestat would offer some great depth scoring as he posted 40 points in 81 games. Now, not that great, although you have to look at the difference. Zibanejad is looked upon as a top-line player, plays on the power play, should be putting up more points. Casey Middlestat, not necessarily that for some of the teams that he was on. So have to keep that in mind as well. If you look at the lineup here, Zibanejad would be gone. It would be Casey Middlestat in the middle or Barrett Hayden, like I talked about in another video. And then if you look at the rest of the lineup, if Chris Kreider goes out the door, you got Brett Berard on there on the left wing you can put in there. If Zibanejad leaves, then you just fill that spot with either Hayden or Casey Middlestat. I think it's going to get very crazy this offseason because I think Chris Drury really wants to add on the back end, that's for sure, because that defense core is just not good enough heading into next season. And I think he wants to free up some salary cap space. So it's going to get a little crazy. They still have some guys they need to sign, and we'll see what Chris Drury has up his sleeve. And I'm just hoping it's not an insane decision because he is known to do that from time to time. So I'm hoping it's not that, and hopefully something, pretty normal that all Rangers fans can at least be like, all right, maybe this makes the team better. Let's see how this plays out under a new coach and coaching staff. We still don't know what's happening with the assistant coaches as well, but we'll keep you updated with that here on the channel. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.